Hi everyone, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today we're going to discuss the transitivity system. It is the system about our experience, how we express the experience. It has something to do with um, what's so called the ideational metafunction. So let's see what it involves. The first one, transitivity or the ideational metafunction. So last meeting you learned about the interpersonal metafunction, that's the mood system, and now the ideational metafunction is the transitivity system. It is constituting the grammar of experiential meaning because here we concern how language serves the expression of content. We talk about the experience, our experience, how we express the experience, whether we express it as the process of doing, sensing, being, or saying. And when we are talking about the transitivity system, then we talk about participants, process, and circumstances. Basically, the main what is it element is process, because different processes will involve different participants. So in in summary, so transitivity system include the process, participants, and circumstances. So that's the system, the transitivity system. So there are basically six types of process. The first one, material processes, process of doing, mental processes, process of sensing, verbal processes, processes of saying, relational processes, processes of being, behavioral processes, process of behavior, existential processes of existence. Um, in the book from Jarrett and Wignell, there is one other processes called I forgot the name. It is meteorological process. So in the latest version of systemic functional grammar developed by Halliday, the meteorological processes has been omitted because it can be included as relational processes. So process of doing is like they kick the ball, kick something. That's a process of doing. Or mental, process of sensing, processes of thinking. I think, they assume, they perceive, something like that. And verbal, they say, and then they utter, they express something. That's a processes of saying. What about relational process? Relational processes is like I'm fine, I am fine. That's processes of being. Or I am a student. That's the processes of being. What about behavioral processes? Behavioral processes is like uh, at that time I were daydreaming, for example. Daydreaming is processes of behavior. Usually, behavioral processes don't have object. Or existential processes is it is the easiest one to identify, since existential processes like sentences beginning with there is or there are, that's existential process. Now, okay, let's talk about the first one, material processes. It's material or doing or expressing the notion that some entity physically does. It's something physical. So in material process, something physical. So the participants will be an actor, a goal, a range, and a beneficiary. An actor is the doer of the process. For example, I kick the ball, then the actor is I. Goal, the thing affected. So ball is the goal. What about the range? Range, the thing unaffected by the process. For example, I don't do anything. I didn't do anything. So anything is not something affected by the process, but the thing unaffected by the process. So that's called a range. And a beneficiary is the one to whom or for whom the process is said to take place. For example, I didn't do anything for you. Then for you, that's a beneficiary, the one to whom or for whom the process is said to take place. That's about material processes. Let's see an example. Yes, the Merapi erupted. Actor and process material. Tom is reading Harry Potter. Tom, actor, reading material, Harry Potter goal. Her husband has never done anything for her. Her husband, actor, material, range, and beneficiary. That's about that's a bit about material processes. The next one is goal versus range. Yes, we can differentiate between goal and range. The first one is range cannot be sensibly probed by asking what did X do to Y. For example, I shot a kangaroo. I shot a kangaroo. Goal can be probed by the question, what did I do to kangaroo? Shoot it. That's how we probe it. And then what about range? We cannot probe it. For example, what did I do to a gun? Shoot it. No. So that's called range. Another thing is that using dummy verbs that can be collapsed into one verb. It can be collapsed into one verb. For example, kick a goal, or shoot a gun, shot, or serve dinner, give a smile, take a bath, bathe. So, but in goal we cannot collapse or combine it into one verb, and then less likely to become subjects. Yes, a gun cannot be used as a subject in this kind of sentence, but the kangaroo can be the subject. The kangaroo was shot by me, for example. Cannot be a personal pronoun. Yes, of course, it cannot be changed into a personal pronoun like it. And the last is that range cannot take attribute of result. For example, here cooking dinner. Dinner is a range because dinner is not the result of cooking. It is different from, for example, cooking a pizza, for example. A pizza is a goal because a pizza is the result of cooking. Okay, let's see. The next process is mental process. It has something to do with thinking, really, feeling, describing what humans or non-humans given human-like quality. So it doesn't have to be humans, but can also be non-humans given human-like qualities. Mental processes are classified into three aspects. The first one, cognition, affection, and perception. So the participants in mental process is a sensor and phenomenon. The sensor is human or at least conscious participant, and a phenomenon, summing up what is thought, wanted, perceived, liked, or disliked. Here's the example. Yes, I don't believe it. So I, sensor, don't believe is mental process, and it phenomenon. They like apples. They sensor like mental phenomenon. So if it is class complex, then he decided to meet her in Palestine, for example. We can analyze it like this. His answer decided mental, and to meet to meet her in Palestine is phenomenon, and if we parse it in detail, so to meet material, her goal, and in Palestine circumstance. We're going to discuss circumstance at the end. And the next process is verbal processes. It expresses process of saying, like asking, stating, or arguing, but also semiotic processes that are not necessarily verbal. Not also asking, stating, or arguing, but it can also show or indicating something. So the participants here, sayer, the participant responsible for the verbal process, that does sayer does the processes, and then receiver, the one to whom the saying is directed, and a verbiage. Verbiage, the content of what is said, the content or name of the saying, and target, the entity that is targeted by the process of saying. For example, we can introduce our own country to the world. So we, because it who does the process, we as a sayer, and our own country as a verbiage, and to the world community as receiver, because our own country is the content, and then the world community is receiver who receive the content. And the next example, I ask him a question. I sayer ask verbal and him receiver, and a question is verbiage. Verbiage is the content that is stated, that is said. And then let's see another one. Teacher praise Tina to all students. So Tina here is not verbiage, because Tina is the one to whom the process is targeted. So Tina is target, and to all student receiver. And the last one, the report slurred both teacher and pupils. The report sayer, yes, and then slur verbal, and this one both teacher and pupil target. So if I take another example, for example, a class, the teacher call a student, for example. The teacher called a student. Then a student is not a verbiage, but a target. But if the clause is the teacher called the student's name, then the student name is a verbiage. Verbiage, not a target. So another example, the lecturer called the student Andy, for example. So Andy is verbiage, and then the lecturer called the student Andy. So the lecturer sayer called verbal process, the student target, and then Andy is a verbiage, because that's the content of the what is said, what is stated. And the next process is relational processes. It expresses being or coming into different modes. There are two types of relational process. The first one is attributive, and the next one identifying. We're going to see how these two differs. These two differ. And then the participants. The participants, if the process is relational attributive, then the participants are career and attribute. If the relational process is identifying, then the participants are token, what is being defined, and value. For example, here, so attributive and identifying in relational processes, actually there are also kinds which is intensive, circumstantial, and then possessive. Let's see the difference. Mark is smart, that's attributive. Travis is the smartest student, that's identifying, because the smartest student defines Travis, not an attribute of Travis, but smart is an attribute of Mark. For example, the fair is on Tuesday, tomorrow is the 10th. That's identifying, this one is attributive. If possessive, for example, Peter has a piano, then identifying the red book is Ikas. So if you have a look, this in identifying, the complement and subject can be reversible. Travis is the smartest student. The smartest student is Dimas or Travis, for example. It is reversible. Let's check Travis. Yes. But be careful, if the questions like Travis is a student, then that's not identifying, that's an attribute relational process, because if we reverse the clause, Travis is a student, we reverse it, a student is Travis, that doesn't make sense, since a student is not only Travis. So with that being said, Travis is a student is not identifying, but attributive. But if the question Travis is the smartest student, then that's identifying. Yeah, because the meaning is the same. The smartest student is Travis. Travis is the smartest student. Travis is a student is Travis. No, a student is not only Travis. So that works that way. The next one, behavioral processes of physiological or psychological behavior like breathing, dreaming, snoring, or smiling. It's actually in between mental and material processes, not really mental, but not really material. The participants only behavior, or sometimes it can include range, but most of the time it includes behavior. For example, you are daydreaming, then behavioral process. She is not listening, she is behavior, is not listening, and behavioral processes. Okay, it's almost 10 minutes. Okay, the last process is existential processes, representing experience by positing that there is or there was, there are, there is, there was, there were. So this actually the easiest one to identify. So there, here, left blank, the process is existential, and the rest of the clause is existent after the verbal group. That's existential process. Now let's move on to circumstances. So there are several kinds of circumstances. It usually specifies where, when, how, with whom, and expressed by adverbials. Or in mood system, it is usually expressed in ejang, in circumstantial ejang, about time, place, manner, cause, accompaniment, method, role, and angle. You can see it here, for example. Yes. Okay, for example, the Merapi erupted in Yogyakarta last year. So in Yogyakarta is place, and last year time, or according to his mother, that's angle, and then alone is accompaniment, And like crazy, a manner. For other example, beautifully they score the goal beautifully. That's a manner, and then for their own health is the cause. As the manager, that's role, and about the strategy, it's a matter. Talk the matter about the strategy, and before the match, it it's about time. So that's all. Thank you, everyone.